Nottingham Forest have become the Premier League's surprise story this season. At the start of the 2024-25 campaign, no one expected much from them. They barely avoided relegation last season, and many thought they'd be in the same struggle again. But now, Forest are making waves, winning games and climbing the table in a way no one saw coming. The team is competing, beating big clubs, and showing real ambition. Fans at the City ground are loving every second, while rivals are left scratching their heads, wondering how Forest has flipped the script. So what's their secret? Smart signings, a manager with a clear plan, a team full of players stepping up when it matters most? Whatever it is, it's working. And Forest look nothing like the team they were last season. Of course, it hasn't all been smooth sailing. There have been tough losses, but their determination is clear. So what's really happening at Nottingham Forest? Let's figure out how they've become one of the Premier League's most exciting stories this season. Let's talk about the nitty-gritty of what's going on at Nottingham Forest, because honestly, this whole season feels like it belongs in a football fairy tale. The team that everyone had written off as probably going down is suddenly stealing headlines, beating big names, and making fans believe that anything is possible. It's like watching one of those movies where the small team no one bets on suddenly starts punching way above their weight. First things first, Forest didn't come into this season to mess around. Last year, they barely stayed afloat, and the stress of avoiding relegation was probably enough to give the fans grey hairs. But this year, they look like a completely different squad. It's like someone hit the reset button and downloaded a brand new version of Nottingham Forest, one with fewer glitches and a lot more swagger. And what's made this switch possible? A whole lot of smart planning and a sprinkle of magic, it seems. Over the summer, the club's recruitment was on fire. The boardroom meetings must have been intense because the players they brought in weren't just random hopefuls. They were game changers. Nikola Milenkovic, that man is a human shield in defense. Elliot Anderson, pure creativity in midfield. And Jota Silva, the guy plays like he's gliding on ice, smooth, unpredictable, and always a step ahead of his marker. These signings didn't just fill gaps, they elevated the entire squad. But even the best players need a plan, and that's where Nuno Espirito Santo steps in. This man has come in and turned things around with a sense of calm authority. He's got that knack for making a team believe they can achieve something special. And let's be real, when your manager believes in you, it's easier to believe in yourself. Forest don't just play football anymore. They mean business. Nuno's tactical tweaks, like strengthening the defense while giving the attackers freedom to express themselves, have made Forest hard to break down but exciting to watch. And speaking of the defense, let's give a big shout out to the back line. Last year, every Forest fan was holding their breath every time the ball came near their goal. It was chaos. But this season, Milenkovic and the gang have brought some serious order to the madness. They've tightened up at the back, cut out the silly mistakes, and made sure their goalkeeper doesn't spend 90 minutes under fire. Of course, we've got to talk about Chris Wood. If there's one player who's living his best life right now, it's this guy. He's been scoring goals like he's on a mission, and each one seems more crucial than the last. Wood isn't flashy, but he's effective. And when you're trying to make waves in the Premier League, that's exactly what you need. And can we just take a moment to appreciate his partnership with Morgan Gibbs-White? Those two have been like fish and chips, perfect together. Gibbs-White has been pulling the strings, setting up chances and keeping defenders guessing, while Wood has been smashing the ball into the back of the net. It's a beautiful thing to watch. Let's not forget the fans, because honestly, they've been a massive part of this revival. The City ground has turned into one of the loudest, most intimidating places to go. Week after week, the stands are packed. And the noise levels are off the charts. Opposing teams must feel like they're walking into a lion's den. The connection between the players and the fans is unreal right now. It's like everyone is in this together, and that's the kind of energy that's contagious. But as with any good story, it hasn't all been smooth sailing. There have been a few bumps along the way. Take that 5-0 hammering at the hands of Bournemouth, for example. Whew, that one hurt. Dango Ouattara tore through Forest like a hurricane, and it was a reminder that this is still the Premier League, where no team is safe. But what's been impressive is how Forest bounced back. Instead of falling apart after that loss, they regrouped, adjusted, and came back even stronger. It's that kind of resilience that shows this team is no fluke. Injuries have also tested their depth. At one point, it felt like half the squad was on the treatment table, but even with key players out, Forest managed to hold their own. The backup players stepped up when it mattered most, and that's a testament to the team's spirit that Nuno has built. Everyone knows their role, and no one's afraid to step into the spotlight when called upon. And can we talk about those big wins? Because they've been the moments where Forest really announced themselves. Beating Liverpool at Anfield? That was a statement. And the 3-2 thriller against Manchester United at Old Trafford? Absolute scenes. These are the kind of results that make people sit up and pay attention. They're thriving, and they're doing it with style. The media have been having a field day with Forest's resurgence, and for good reason. Pundits who wrote them off at the start of the season are now tripping over themselves to sing their praises. Suddenly everyone's talking about Forest as a potential dark horse for European football. It's wild. Imagine telling a Forest fan a year ago that their team would be in the conversation for a Europa League spot. They probably would have laughed in your face, but here we are. It has also been a masterclass in how to thrive without splashing out on superstar names. While clubs like Manchester United, Liverpool and Arsenal boast squads filled with global icons like Rashford, Saka and Salah, Forest have built their success on a very different philosophy: hard work, smart recruitment and solid team cohesion. What stands out most about Forest is their training regime. The focus is not on creating individual stars, but on building a unit that works seamlessly together. The players are drilled to perfection, with emphasis on discipline, tactics, and endurance. Training sessions are high intensity, structured around quick transitions, defensive organization, and sharp attacking moves. It's all about creating a team that can outwork and outthink their opponents, rather than relying on moments of magic from one or two star players. Forest's coaching staff deserve immense credit. They've created an environment where every player feels important, whether they're in the starting 11 or the bench. The philosophy is simple: everyone has a role to play, and no one is bigger than the team. This has helped foster a sense of unity and camaraderie that's rare in modern football. It's clear that the players trust each other and believe in the system, which is translated to some brilliant performances on the pitch. Another key factor in Forest's success is their approach to transfers. While the big clubs are spending hundreds of millions on marquee signings, Forest have focused on scouting underappreciated talents and giving them a platform to shine. Instead of chasing names that dominate headlines, they've gone for players who fit their system perfectly. This strategy has brought in hungry, determined individuals who are eager to prove themselves. Take for instance their midfield, where unheralded players have been putting in standout performances week after week. They don't have the glamour of Kevin De Bruyne or Bruno Fernandes, but they get the job done. Similarly, their defense might not include household names, but is one of the hardest working back lines in the league. Forest have shown that you don't need superstars to compete at the highest level. You just need players who are committed to the cause. Off the pitch, the board deserves credit for their support. They didn't just sit back and hope for the best. They invested wisely and backed their manager. The January transfer window saw a few more clever additions to the squad, ensuring that Nuno had the tools he needed to keep the momentum going. It's clear that there's a long-term vision at Forest, and they're building something that could last. At the heart of it all, there's a group of players who are giving it everything they've got. You can see it in the way they play, the determination, the passion, the never-say-die attitude. They're not just out there to make up the numbers, they're out there to compete, to win, and make their fans proud. For the rest of the 2024-25 season, Nottingham Forest will probably keep building on the solid start they've had. They've really started to find their rhythm, and it's clear they're not just here to survive in the Premier League, but to compete. The team has been playing with a lot of heart, and it seems they've finally clicked in terms of how they play together. They'll likely aim for a solid mid-table finish, which would be a massive win for a club that's only just returned to the Premier League. But staying consistent will be key, especially when they face big clubs like Manchester United, Liverpool or Chelsea. With the next transfer window coming up, Forest might add a few new players to strengthen the squad. Maybe someone in attack or defence to help push them even further. If they keep developing their current players and stay smart with their moves, they could keep improving and build a strong future in the Premier League. It's looking good for them, and the rest of the season should be exciting. For now though, let's just enjoy the ride, because this season has been an absolute joy for Forest fans, and honestly, for anyone who loves a good football story. Whatever happens next, one thing's for sure, Nottingham Forest have reminded us all why we love this game.